Yeah, Mr. Ashish Raghuwanshi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You're from Madhya Pradesh,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
and your father is an assistant sub-inspector, and you did graduation BA honors with history.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So, the areas on which you're supposed to prepare should be from your graduation, like about history. And what is your option?
Sir, history only.
History honor. That's fine then. So, since both your uh, subject in graduation as well as optional is both same. So you'll have the questions on the history only, and uh, particularly relevance of history in the present world. On those lines, they may ask you several questions. So how do you understand? They may ask you something like, how do you understand impact of world history on the present ongoing international events? Suppose in the modern history, you have the areas like First World War, Second World War, and how this First World War and Second World War can have their implications to the present world. So they may ask you something like, do you think that in the context of ongoing regional wars, will there be a possibility of a third world war? So because the world has divided into two groups now. So one group supporting Russia, another group supporting uh, Ukraine, one group supporting Israel, another group supporting Palestine. So when this is the situation, there may be a possible conclusions that may push one to draw that there is a possibility of third world war, more dangerous world war compared to first and second. So there will be implementational aspects related to history and the present world. How do you see the specific history with reference to social welfare? Specific history means, suppose, what are the elements of social welfare in the Mauryan Empire? Elements of better governance, good governance in the Indus Valley civilization. Or otherwise, what lessons that you have learned from the Gupta administration, the Gupta Empire? So on those lines, history questions will be relevant to the present world. And since your father is a sub-inspector in the police department, they may ask you questions about the policing system. Something like relations between citizens and the police, or the aspects how the police can use the technology in the day-to-day emerging technology in the day-to-day world, in the present administration. Like something like, suppose, how the artificial intelligence can be used in detecting the crimes. So this emerging technology, the UPSC members are not aware of the details of this technology, but they know that these technologies can be applied in the day-to-day life, including the administration. Or they ask you a question like how the blockchain technology can be used in the public order or in maintaining the law and order. How this blockchain technology or big data or data science can be applied in revealing the facts of history. So they apply the things on those lines. Similarly, there may be a couple of questions about police reforms. So they may ask you the difference between police reforms and police modernization. Because police reforms are concerned with changing the behavior of the police, particularly at the grassroots level. Grassroots level means at the police station level. Suppose starting with the circle inspector, sub-inspector, ASI, head constable, constable level, their interaction with the people is not so positive in the country. So therefore, what kind of police reforms are required in changing the behavior of the police department at the grassroots level. Such kind of questions may be possible. So you should refer these reforms from the recommendations of Dharamveer Commission, National Police Commission headed by Dharamveer. And secondly, you should also refer from the Supreme Court judgment in the Prakash Singh case. And also the second ARC recommendations on the police reforms. So how the Second Administrative Reforms Commission in its fifth report on the public order have made several reforms in the public order system, in the policing system. So they are the reforms. And there is another dimension is police modernization. This police modernization is all about improving the infrastructure of the police system. The infrastructure of the police system means a new building for the police station or modern communication for the police. Suppose they may ask you how the robotic technology can change the policing in the country. That is adoption of the robotics in the policing system. Or otherwise, they may even also ask you about possibilities of non-core areas of police to the privatization. Because in America, there is a privatization of non-core police functions. So in the influence of the globalization, LPG, there may be a probable question about outsourcing the non-core functions of the police, which is one of the recommendations of the second ARC also. Or privatization of the policing system in all, totally. Then what is the government policy regarding the police replacing the existing Police Act with the new Act? The present Police Act is based on the 1861 Indian Police Act. So that Indian Police Act is recommended to be replaced with the new Act by several committees, including the Dharamveer Committee and the second ARC, and Soli Sorabji Committee in between. Even in 2005, there was a Soli Sorabji Committee. Even that committee also recommended the replacement of the 1861 Indian Police Act with a new Police Act. But it is not yet done. Though Indian Penal Code, Indian Evidence Act, the legislation that were enacted in the same time were replaced with the new laws, but the Indian Police Act is not replaced. You may be asked about the reasons for non-replacement. And similarly, after the policing and other things, so there will be possible questions about the infrastructure, as I told you, police modernization, including the communication system, improving the transportation of the police, changing the police station buildings, new weapons to be given to the police, modern weaponization. So these are some of the dimensions of police modernization, which are related to both crime investigation as well as law and order management. And you should also, since you are concerned with some elements related to the Indian Constitution, you should also have fundamental information about the law and order in the Indian Constitution, dimensions of law and order, public order, difference between public order and the law and order, constitutional provisions of the police. So those aspects should also be understood. And regarding your prizes, medals, and other things, you are one of the winner of competition on the legacy of freedom struggle and Indian Constitution. So there may be questions about linking your other dimensions of DAF with constitutional elements. Because legacy of freedom struggle, anyway, as I told you in the history, freedom struggle in the history, in the present situation, relevance of it. That will be anyway asked. Regarding the Indian Constitution also, suppose one of your hobbies is showing like a sustainable way of living. So what you may be asked about, what are the constitutional provisions related to sustainable development, sustainable way of living? Suppose in the directive principles, there are provisions about sustainability, protecting the environment. Secondly, even in the fundamental duties also, there are elements about sustainable development. So that is explicitly mentioned. And implicitly, it is also a part of Article 21. Enjoying a pollution-free life is also one of the fundamental rights under Article 21. So that is an implicit element. So you should understand your constitutional knowledge with other dimensions of your DAF. And I see that you are an ideal student award. You got an ideal student award in 2018. So regarding that, as an ideal student awardee, what lessons that you learn from this award for your life, for the rest of your life? And apart from learning the lessons from this award, what responsibility that has been imposed indirectly upon your life? Because suppose when your friends or someone are talking to you, they may say that because you have got an ideal student award, why should you do something mischievous? As being a young person, sometimes we may do certain mischievous things. Then people start criticizing immediately, saying that you're an ideal student. Then how you can do such mischievous things? Then have you faced any kind of such incidents whereby people try to uh, criticize you on these lines? And so therefore, it actually enforces certain responsibility on part of you. So how this award has changed your way of life? And then you're also a coordinator at Clio Calling Annual College Fest. So as a coordinator of the fest, what administrative lessons that you have learned about coordination, administrative lessons that can be implemented
Sir, your
in
voice is not
the actual
clear.
administrative situation for the Legislative Assembly and for the Parliament? How do you coordinate various forces, including paramilitary forces, then civilian administration, and the police forces? So how this coordination is possible for you? So that kind of coordination orientation, and they may also ask you about the difference between coordination and cooperation. Which is more important in the administration between coordination and cooperation? And among your extracurricular activities, one of these is visiting the historical monuments. So what are the fundamental duty? What is that fundamental duty related to historical monuments? Or what is that directive principle related to historical monuments? Because it is one of the fundamental duties of every citizen to protect the historical monuments of national importance, and is also a directive principle. So that kind of question may be possible. And what draws you to visit historical monuments? Because for every element of your DAF, there will be a question rising with starting with why. So why you visit historical monument? Why you follow sustainable way of life? And similarly, on these lines, you should develop certain things. Why you have chosen history as a subject instead of political science or any other subject? So that is how they may ask you the questions related to why historical monuments. They may not ask you what historical monuments you have visited, because you have visited and you can tell them easily. And or otherwise, what is the recent historical monument that you have visited? So suppose if you said like Golconda I have visited, then the immediate follow-up question will be why? Why you have visited only Golconda rather than Charminar? Or why you have not visited Taj Mahal? So that why element is important. You should know the reasoning for the answers that you are giving. And similarly, Orwellian fiction, reading Orwellian fiction, why you read it, and what lessons, administrative lessons that you learn from this fiction, and possibilities of understanding the themes of totalitarianism in the Orwellian fiction. So such kind of questions, including his writings about Orwellian experiences during the Second World War, his experience during the Spanish Civil War, how they have influenced his writings. And from the hobby of sustainable way of living. Same, why you have, what motivated you to adopt sustainable way of living? And how do you incorporate those sustainable practices in the daily life? And similarly, they may ask you about discussing the impact of climate change on global food. And sustainable practice or technology that you can think as how has the potential to make significant positive impact on the environment. Like sustainable practice of or technology that has the potential to make significant positive impact on the environment. And similarly, how this modern technology, like cloud computing or blockchain, data science, can be used for the sustainable living. Are they compatible with the sustainable living or incompatible? Is there any incompatibility with them? And the systems like the new modern technologies like ChatGPT is they start with asking like, do you use ChatGPT? And naturally, you may say that I will use. And they may ask you what kind of anti-sustainability is there with the ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a pollutant. How do you think? How do you support this? Or do you think that ChatGPT is a highly pollutant thing in this world? So on these lines, there may be possible question. Or they may interconnect several dimensions. Interconnecting your hobbies. Like, as I asked you, suggested you, like, what are the sustainable elements in the Indus Valley civilization? Sustainable living elements in the Indus Valley civilization. Such kind of interconnectedness may also be established. And how do you think visiting historical monuments and reading Orwellian fiction have influenced your perspective on sustainable living? So all the three may be interconnected. You visit the historical monuments, that is from the history impact. Then reading the Orwellian fiction have impacted, influenced your perspective about the sustainable living or environmental conservation. So that interconnectivity may also be possible. So like that, several questions on your DAF are possible. And apart from that, there may be possible questions on some current issues. So current issues like simultaneous elections. You should know the past, present, and the future of the simultaneous election. So in the past means when were the last simultaneous elections were conducted? In the first four elections. Then committees on simultaneous elections. Ramnath Kovind committee recommendations, followed by present situation like 129th Amendment Bill, and this bill being referred to a parliamentary standing committee. And then when will it be implemented? When this simultaneous elections will be implementable, possibly. So what with the reference to the current affairs, what you do is you have to build your basics very strong. Building the basics means fundamental information about everything. What is Ramnath Committee? When is it constituted? What are the basic recommendations it made? What is 129th Amendment Bill? What are the provisions of it? Then third, what are the differences between Ramnath Kovind Committee recommendations and the 129th Amendment Bill? So these are the fundamental information. So you don't have to try for the argumentation. If your fundamentals are strong, automatically you can make the arguments. Suppose they may also ask you about 33% reservation to women in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. Or there may be discussion about wars, regional wars. Or there may be possible questions about neighborhood, India's neighborhood. Every country is a neighbor of, every neighboring country of India is an enemy now, including Nepal and Sri Lanka. So in this situation, what is your opinion? You should know the fundamental relationship, the factual information related to the relationship. Without having that knowledge, basic information, how Nepal is an enemy, how Sri Lanka is emerging as an enemy, and how Maldives has transformed into an enemy. Anyway, we have traditional enemies like China and Pakistan. Now there are rogue nations like Afghanistan and Myanmar, a new enemy like Bangladesh. So in this situation, you need to understand the India's fundamental factual elements must not be manufactured. Manufactured means mock interview like this. So you should give your own answer rather than learning the answers given by someone. Because they can easily recognize whether you are giving a natural answer or a manufactured answer. Because the total age of the bird is 300 years. So they can easily recognize whether you are giving the original or the created one. So therefore, I am telling you the questions only, possible questions and areas of questions, but not I am giving you the answers. Because you need to develop your own answer. Develop as many possible answers as possible on every dimension of your depth. And don't ask for the answers from anybody. You can ask for the questions, develop your own answers. From any number of people or any number of mock interviews, take the questions, but not the answers. Build your own answer system. You can give any answer. And there is nothing like a right answer or wrong answer. Or there is not, don't ask anybody, how should I answer this particular question? Because when you learn such kind of thing, you will be thinking from the dimension of those people, but not from your own originality. And the only thing that you should do is either you can adopt a rightist approach or a leftist approach, but you have to justify your answer. Justification comes from two things. That is legality. Your answer should be characterized by the legal aspect. It should not be illegal or unconstitutional. It should be very much according to the Indian law and according to the Indian Constitution. Secondly, your answer has to be ethically right. If you fulfill these two dimensions in your answers, no one can question your answers. There cannot be even supplementary questions also, if these two things are fulfilled. So that is the justification perspective. And so answering is from these two dimensions. Thinking your DAF is from three dimensions. So think about your DAF from three dimensions. I will give you this GTG approach. This GTG approach is globalization, then technology, and governance. So every aspect of your DAF should be understood from this perspective, globalization perspective. technology orientation. Suppose suggested you like how artificial intelligence can be used in understanding the history. So such kind of linkage they may establish from from these three. Or they may also the most of the questions will be based on the policy orientation, that is governance orientation. Suppose I suggested you like what are the constitutional provisions related to sustainable way of living. This is a governance perspective. So suppose regarding the police system, constitutional provisions of the police, Supreme Court judgment on the police reforms, Dharamveer Commission recommendations on police reform, second ARC recommendations. They're all the governance dimensions. I suggested you about how the police can use the technology in the crime detection, how the technology can be used for the law and order management. So that is the technology point of view. And I have also suggested you to understand about the privatization, possibility of privatization of the policing is a globalization perspective. So from the globalization point of view, with an example of America, I told you that there are certain non-core areas in the police that can be privatized. So from all the dimensions, that is governance, technology, and the globalization point of view. So this, if you think your details of detailed application form from this GTG orientation, you will have a maximum preparation of yourself. So every question asked by the board will be falling anywhere within these three dimensions only, not beyond that. They cannot, because definitely there will be one question about application of technology in the day-to-day administration, day-to-day life, or with reference to the details of your detailed application. Every question, most of the questions will be from the governance point of view. That is, either they can ask you about the constitutional perspective, legal perspective, or the policy point of view. And otherwise, globalization orientation, how the world is impacting, having its impact, implications to your life or to the day-to-day life of the people in India, how it is influencing the administration in India. So this globalization, technology, or governance, every question will be falling within this framework. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Sir, you addressed most of my questions already. Like I wanted to ask which approach to follow and how to justify answers. Sir, how can we improve? Like, for example, there are chances when we may through in the moment slip something out of our tongue. For example, we may criticize some political leader or some freedom fighter. So how do we manage such situation after we had done something wrong or after we have said something wrong?
And either you can take an excuse for that, accepting your mistake. That is one way. Second way is you justify your argument. Same on the grounds of law, that is legal aspect, and from the ethical aspect. Suppose if I ask you a question like in the war between Israel and Palestine, in fact, it's a war between Israel and Hamas, which is being depicted as Palestine war. So in the war between Israel and the Hamas, who do you support? Suppose if you say that I support Palestine, then there will be a series of supplementary questions. And when there are series of supplementary questions, your answer, whatever you give, as I told you that, you should have the fundamentals very strong. If you have the fundamentals very strong, then you can support your argument. Suppose in this situation, Hamas has attacked first Israel. They killed 1,200 people. Then Israel is retaliating. Do you think that there will be a possibility of proportionality in the retaliation? Because since Hamas has killed 1,200 people, should Israel kill only 1,200 people? They're taking, because of the social media, what is happening is Israel is attacking the civilian establishments. But the Hamas terrorists are seeking hiding behind this civilian establishments. They're using civilians as a human shield. Suppose if you have this information with you, then your argumentation will be very strong in either of the sides. Despite that, with limited information, you made an argument, then they will not condemn your argument. They will only ask the supplementary questions. And when they are asking the supplementary questions, you should understand that they are trying to corner you. But in 99% of the cases, UPSC will not try to corner any candidate. So if you made a mistake, you can oblige that you have made a mistake. I have committed a mistake. And even after realizing that you have made a mistake, if you continue to commit on that, that situation is known as the escalation of commitment. Escalation commitment means committing to a wrong decision, even if you're realizing that, even after realizing that it is a wrong decision. So that escalation commitment should not be the cause of your interview, should not be the negative cause of your interview. So when you realize, you should obey it, accept it, take a sorry for that. Suppose if you, even after realization, continue to commit with the same kind of argumentation, it will be like Duryodhana. Duryodhana, who knows that, who realized that he has made a wrong, but still he has committed on the same thing. So his commitment is, despite realizing it is a wrong one, continue to escalate. There was no decline in it. It will only push you into the more argument, more war. So therefore, as soon as you realize, you take an excuse. Then easily anybody will excuse.
Sir, and on this sustainable way of living, so for example, if I wear leather shoes, so there will be contradiction, or they
Yeah.
will, yes, sir.
What you mentioned is following a sustainable way of living, but not
Yes, sir.
absolutely living a sustainable life.
Yes, sir.
So where possible, wherever possible, I will follow that. Where it is not possible, I will not follow it. I cannot follow it. Practically, it is impossible for any human to live absolutely sustainable way of life. If you have to do like that, you have to be in the Indus Valley civilization, not in the
Yes, sir.
20th century. So there will be exemptions. Suppose people talk about the banning of plastics, which is impossible. You cannot ban the plastic on a 100% basis. So therefore, even the governments, from the government policy point of view also, as I told you that legal, and remember, whatever the things like that contradictories, your answer should be based on the, immediately think about the legality and ethicality, not morality. Morality is different. Ethicality is something which is acceptable way of things for the people, for the society. Legality is acceptable to the state. So even the state is not prohibiting the plastic 100%. State is, governments are banning the plastics only partially, not the 100% plastic ban. So that is a legal aspect. Using some kind of non-sustainable goods will be anyway legal, and at the same time ethical as well, if not moral. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think you have addressed all of my concerns already in.
So all the best. I will share some feedback to you and some questions. Try to develop the answers on that.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, all the best.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Yes, thanks. All the best.